to perfectly match. You really have to get used to the car before you can get it nailed down. Wow. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be reviewing what is quite possibly the perfect spec on a Mazda Miata. Before we get into this video though, a huge shout out and thank you to the Tim Daly Mazda here in Southtown, Utah for giving me some time with this Miata. I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. If you have any questions or need any help, just ask for Jake. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below as well. Let's get into it. Under the hood, we have a naturally aspirated 2-liter 4-cylinder that goes through a 6-speed manual transmission. Fuel economy is 26 around town and then 34 on the highway, with power outputs being 181 horsepower and then 151 pound-feet of torque. And something to note is most of the engine is actually behind the front axle, making this almost kind of like front mid-engine, almost. Before we go to the front end, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Starting here with the hood, you guys can see that it's, well, pretty big, but then it's also mostly flat there in the center, and then you guys can see it kind of raises up on either side. And then popping down below, you guys can see here with the headlights, notice the little daytime running light there in the corner, and then we've got the Mazda Miata smiley face front grille with some little ground effects. And you know, the Miata is kind of like a cool, fun, playful looking car. Coming around the side here, tire wheel setup is 205, 45, 17 in the front and over in the rear as well. And then you guys can see the coloration on the wheels. It's kind of like this gunmetal gray, maybe is the best way to put it. I don't know. It looks really cool though. I love the little turn signal indicator there on the side. And then this is pretty cool. Look at the roof, how it's like blacked out. And then taking a look at the full side profile here, it looks so cool with the RF package. This is how the Miata should have always looked from the beginning. So here's our key fob. You guys can see Mazda logo there on the front, and then we've got our unlocked lock function and the opening here for the trunk. And speaking of trunk, well, it's itty bitty just like the car, but I mean, I guess you could throw maybe a duffel bag, maybe two actually, in this trunk. Now we got the dorky little antenna there on the rear, and then we've got the Miata's taillights here, which are pretty cool. Love how it says MX-5 there. And then we got the little exhaust tips at the bottom. And putting it all together, the Miata looks really cool. I love like the wide hips there on the back. Like seriously, it's a good looking car. Now it's so cool how they bring the exterior color inside with the Miata, and then I really like the contrasted stitching with this particular Miata. Really nice padding, as you can see. Got the carbon fiber print right there. And then we actually have blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. Beautiful leather seats here, as you can see. And this thing that Mazda basically keeps releasing with the Miata is just different interior colors as they, update the Miata. Different interior and then exterior colors, I should say. And then we got that 3-pedal layout, right? And then up above, you guys can see stability control, and then for the lane departure. So starting with the steering wheel, really nice leather trim all around. We've got our cruise control here. We've got some controls for the center stack, phone controls as well. And of course, turn signal, light stock, windshield wiper stock. So we've got this gauge cluster that kind of looks like what Porsche's gauge cluster used to look like before they messed it up, basically. But you do have this digital screen there off to the side, which will show you different bits of info on the car. Pretty standard stuff right there. And yeah, there's the gauge cluster. Now in reverse, we do have a backup camera here, as you can see, and resolution's decent. Don't really need a camera because it's such a small car. It's nice that you have it though. Now as for the rest of the infotainment system, this is the last man standing. So yep, still a touchscreen because they haven't, done I mean, they've made some updates with the Miata since initial release in 2016, but like, yeah, it's cool that you still get this infotainment system and not the silly dial controlled, but you still have a dial you can control this infotainment system with if you don't want to use a touchscreen. Really like the material use here on the dash cam with that orange stitching. And then you guys can see here with the climate controls, single zone climate system, and then we got heated seats and some USBs. So we got the shifter for that 6-speed manual, super notchy into the gears. One of the best manual transmissions out there. For this price point, I think the only shifter that really compares to this is the one in the Honda Civic Type R. That one might be a little bit better, but this thing is pretty dang good. And then we got analog controls there for the infotainment system. We got our giant, I mean, look how big this parking brake is in this interior. It's normal size, but like in the Miata, it's gigantic. And then we got some storage there. And then you guys can see one of the cup holders. And then this is actually your glove box because you don't have a real glove box in the Miata. So that's kind of interesting. And ooh, this looks like it has like the wind scarf there with the little slit there at the top of the seat. And then anyways, you guys can see where the other cup holder is. Now don't you worry, I didn't forget. So you got this button right here that you hold, and this is what will open up the whole top mechanism here. Look at that. So fancy. It's so cool how it's like stays up with this RF version, like a 911 Targa. Complete. And then this is the other benefit of the RF is, first off, it looks really good with the top down as well as up. You can't say the same for the soft top. You have to have the top down for that car to look good. But like this thing looks especially good, again, with the buttresses there in the rear. Really cool aesthetic overall. And then the other big benefit is, frankly, noise. This is a lot quieter compared to the soft top while you have the top up and while you have the top down, because you're pretty much just like enclosed. So yeah, it's cool. And then you guys can see here on the window sticker, base MSRP $35,350. This has a few options. Total MSRP $36,805. And well, let's see how it drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's visibility over the hood, both the mirrors, and throughout the rest of the rear. And let's set off. We're gonna start the first half of the driving portion with the top down, and then we'll do the second half with the top up. Now, I do want to apologize in advance for the GoPro view in this video. The Miata's interior is so tight that like I can't like gangster lean like I normally do when I do these point of view videos, to where I can show you like the full steering wheel. So yeah, this is not gonna I guess look normal. And then also there might be a little bit of wind buffeting because again the top is down, but I'm sure you guys want to kind of see what the experience is like. It's so cool to have like again, I still feel like really enclosed back here, because again there's like that's open in the rear, but like it just feels really enclosed. But at the same time, I still like also feel like I'm slightly more open to the world than normal. I don't know, I find it really exciting. Now, like I said earlier, the manual transmission's amazing, super notchy, like super notchy, getting that into gear. And I love how it says what gear we're in. I think that's definitely fun. Yeah, one of the best manual transmissions out there, and it's great that it's in a car that's, you know, pretty affordable and also economical. That's one of the cool things about the Mazda Miata is this is a car that not only is, you know, relatively affordable in terms of the purchase price, but then also like maintenance on this. It's dirt cheap. It's a 4-cylinder naturally aspirated car, like basically have an economy car engine because you don't need a ton of power, right? So ultimately it's a really small car. It only weighs like 2,400 pounds. And so yeah, it's just cheap to maintain, and I think that's why Mazda sold like, I think they've sold like 1 million of these, like some obscene number they've sold, because you know it's got a lot going for it. Okay, so getting up and moving a little bit here. Ah, those shifts, those manual shifts are so good. It's relatively easy to rev match downshift. Now the thing is, naturally aspirated 4-cylinders, they usually aren't the most blippable powertrain on the planet, so they don't necessarily like to perfectly match. You really have to get used to the car before you can get it nailed down. Wow. It feels like I'm going way faster than I am. That's the fun thing about the Miata, is you don't have to be driving that fast for it to feel like it's fast or like you're having fun. That's, again, that really is one of the big benefits. Now, okay, now that I'm kind of more used to the engine, I can blip it a little bit better with the throttle. It's a little bit easier. Yeah, it just takes a second. You just gotta get used to the 4-cylinder. Steering's so good on this. Now, again, here's the cool thing about the RF is, well, we can basically just pull into this parking lot. Suspension's pretty stiff on the Miata. Even though this is the Grand Touring, it's still sports car. So just press this button down, and then it should put everything in place, including the glass. Look how cool that is to watch. Operation complete. And then we just roll up there's a little sticker on the window telling me not to roll down the window. I'm rolling it up, don't you worry. But yeah, I mean, look, it's that easy. And we are back off on our way in the Miata yet again. The big high point with this is this transmission. Now they do make an automatic Miata, don't buy it. I'm just being honest here. Like, the manual's so good. Learn how to drive manual. I think that it's just, I've noticed that with the Japanese sports cars, is they make the manuals really good, and then the automatics they just kind of throw in because they're like, oh, some people are going to want an auto, but it's never the transmission to get. I mean, the Toyota 86 and Toyota 86 and Subaru BRZ, same exact story, right? You don't get the automatic in those cars, you get the manual. So just learn how to drive manual, seriously. You'll thank me later. I love the steering on this too. It's so like zippy, and yeah, the Miata does have quite a bit of body roll that also kind of adds to the fun of the car, with making it, again, it feels like I'm driving faster than I actually am. Oh, this transmission's so good. I don't like, I feel like I'm a race car driver in this thing, and it's like I'm going literally like less than 30 miles an hour, and I feel like I'm just like pushing the limits. That's the thing with the Miata. That's the thing that Mazda has absolutely nailed with this vehicle. And I think another part of it is this is not like a super insulated car. Like, these seats are really comfortable, but you hear a bit of road noise. You feel what's happening with the steering, everything. It's like a very connected car. Like, I just want to go through the gears with this. It's so fun to drive. And the gear and the ratios of the gears are pretty short, so you can actually use the transmission all the time. Yeah, this is a really good car. Now, you can daily drive this. I probably wouldn't. I think this is a great, like, obviously the space and everything's not that great, but I know, like, I've met so many people that'll daily drive these because you can, because they're reliable and everything. But I think that the fun in this car is to not daily drive it, so that, like, it's more of an occasion when you pop into it. And the thing that's great about this compared to other sports cars that you can do the same thing with is the fact that, you know, it's always gonna be reliable. It's always gonna start up. You're not gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna go on my weekend drive. Oh, my garage is full of oil, right? You won't have to deal with that. Whereas with this, yeah, you just pop in and go. So super fun car, super fun car. Like I said, get the manual transmission, and, you know, this is definitely one of the best sports cars for sale today, because it just does everything right. It's not overly complicated. It's not extremely powerful. It's just lightweight. It handles well, and it's just fun to drive. That's gonna sum things up with our video on this RF Miata. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Tim Daly Mazda here in Southtown, Utah for giving me some time with this Mazda Miata. Check out the description down below. Ask for Jake if you have any questions. I'll see ya.